Hey, welcome to my channel, Chillinwithlanda. I have another story time today. And if it's your first time clicking on my channel, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy the story time, like the video and leave a comment down below. I would really appreciate your support. And let's go ahead and get into the story time, y'all. You ever had a point in your life where you was just you was young and did all kind of things you kind of regret or wish you could have done differently, now that you're older? Well, I have a couple of those story times, and I'm going to tell a story when I was a teenager, how I ran away and it just went south. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's say this was when I was freshly moved with my dad. I was a teenager. Me and my dad, I call him Pop. We never really got along because I stayed from house to house when I was a younger girl, and I moved with my dad when I was like going to high school pretty much. I was about 15 maybe. So I was, I was a teenager becoming a young lady. And me and my pop, we had a lot of issues. Me and my dad, we look alike, we think alike. And when you stay with someone, even if it's your parent, if you too much alike, a lot of times y'all clash, you bump heads, and that's what me and my pop relationship was like. We argued a lot, we didn't get along a lot. I was rebellious. I felt like I'm already like going to high school. I'm just moving with you. You can't tell me what to do. That was my mind back then, 15-year-old Londa. But I don't think that way now. And the way I thought, it took me down a long hole and I got in a lot of trouble. So I'm gonna tell this time where I ran away, right? My dad never really stopped me from being a girl. Like in high school, I wore my hair long, I had it dark red. High school, I had long nails. Well, in middle school, actually, seventh grade, I started wearing long nails. So my dad never really stopped me from being a girl. I got to talk on the phone with boys. Like I had like a little boyfriend. He would call the phone at the house, and my daddy would give me the phone. I never really had issues, but my daddy was a little strict. Now my dad is an older guy. Like my dad is older. Like he's 72 now, 71, and so yeah, he's pretty old. He has an old school style. He was kind of strict. So although he let me be a girl and I got to wear long nails and talk on the phone, I didn't really get to go many places. Like he didn't really let me out very much. I didn't really get to go to my friends' houses or, just go to the movies. At first, when I moved with my dad, I didn't get to do those things. He was pretty strict. So I only got to go to school, come home. I did extracurricular activities after school and I just talked on the phone. That was like, the early years of me staying with my dad. So that's how it was, the first couple of years. Time is going on. I'm now in like 10th, 11th grade, and I, start to come up with these little fibs or lies, as you want to say. And, I had a little boyfriend, so I used to come up with these little fibs to tell my dad. I had little cousins who played football at the park, and they did cheerleading and stuff like that. And so I would, tell my dad, hey, I'm going with my auntie, to football practice, and that's where I'm going to be at. And I'm going to, be out with my auntie for a few hours. But really, I would go and chill with my little boyfriend, and we would be at the park, just, hanging out. I wasn't involved in any, sex or anything like that. We were just hanging out. We would just be at the park, I just wanted to be around him. But I would fib to my dad and tell him I was with my aunt, although my aunt was at the same park, but I wasn't with her. I was just at the same park with her, with my boyfriend. So I did that a few times, I did it once or twice, and then I was a little scared. And then the third time I told my dad I was going with my auntie, he became a little suspicious. Like he never seen my auntie pick me up or drop me off. So he became a little suspicious, but he never really drugged the issue too much. So I thought I was just so smart. I thought I was getting away, just thought I was so smart, but I was really so dumb. One day, I decide to, tell Pop I'm going to hang out with my auntie. She's picking me up. We're going to the park. I'm going to hang with my auntie. I call my little boyfriend, and he's like, okay, he's up on game. He met me down at the corner. I walk away, and that was that. Me and him hang out. I don't remember the details. I don't remember what we did that day. I'm sure we was just at that park, probably eating sausage sandwiches and frozen cups, just being teenagers, not really doing nothing extravagant, right? So I had a feeling this day though. I really did have a feeling though. I'm like, what if my dad called my auntie and, to ask for me or just to check up on me? I just thought I was so smart, but just was so dumb. But this day, it clicked in my head. I was like, what if my dad called my auntie to check up on me? And so I was just, it was just a thought. So I continued my day with my little boo thing at the time, and we just had a good day. So now the sun is starting to set, and it's time for me to start heading home. We were teenagers. We didn't have no car, so we were on the bus. So it took a little minute to get home. Got off the bus, walked down the street, and I just had this feeling. I don't know what it was. I just had this feeling, just this feeling of like, I don't know, despair. Let's just say intuition. So I get off the bus. My boyfriend kissed me goodbye. He continues on the bus. I'm walking down the street. As I'm walking down the street, I could just had this feeling in my stomach. So I walk up on the porch. I knock on the door. I didn't have a house key at the time. So at this time, it was me, my dad, and my stepmom, Miss Mary. Rest in peace to Miss Mary. She passed in 2019. I love her dearly. She always had my back. She always had my back. She just always had my back. When me and my dad got into it, she just always had my back. Him and her got into it a few times behind me. She just always loved me and rooted for me. But okay, so I walk up to the door. I knock on the door. Miss Mary opened the door, and she just looks at me, and she's like, "You know you in trouble, right?" And that's when I knew I messed up. I knew I was in trouble. So when she said that, I walked in the house. I could hear my pop coming out the room door, and he's like, "Where were you?" And I was like, "I was with Auntie at the park." And he was like, "No, I know you wasn't. I called her, and she said she haven't seen you in weeks. You haven't been around her at the park at the football practice." So now I'm standing there at the door, and I'm shook. I'm scared. I knew this was gonna happen. I felt it in my soul. So I'm stuttering, just how I'm stuttering now. I'm like, I don't. And I just knew I was caught in my lie. So what am I going to say? What am I going to say? He spoke to my auntie already. So he was mad, of course. Miss Mary, she just sat down to make sure he didn't go too hard on me. But we argued a little bit. I didn't really, had much to say back to him because I was wrong. I got caught in my lie. He was real, real, real mad at me. And we argued real bad that night. Me and him, we didn't get along. And I don't know. We just had a very, 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 very bad argument that night. I remember him like pushing me on the bed and telling me, "Oh, if you want to go do this in the street, do it." And he just said some very ugly things to me that night. And, I'm older now. My dad, he didn't mean those things. Those things came out of love. He was hurt, that I was telling lies to him. And so, we got into it very bad. And yeah, it didn't end well that night. Let's just say that. The argument was pretty bad. He was pretty upset with me, as he should have been. But at the time, 15, 16-year-old me, I just thought that he was just so strict. I just thought that, I'm about to be a junior in high school. Why can't I, go out and do my own thing, Just why? That was in my 15, 16-year-old brain. He was fairly mad at me, very mad at me. So I decide, what all teenagers decide to do, child. I decide to get a bag, a book bag, and I start putting like underwear and bra and my deodorant, my toothbrush, one or two outfits while he's arguing at me at my door in my room. He's seeing me pack my little bag. So he, in his brain, he's telling Miss Mary, "Oh, Mary, she trying to leave. She trying to leave. She trying to leave." So he panics and I'm packing my little bag. Where am I going? I don't know. So he started to panic and he calls the cops. He calls the police. And I guess to stop me. So he calls the police and I pack my little bag. The police department is only like 5 minutes from where my dad stays. So they were there very fast. Like before I even packed my last little outfit, the police was in front of the house. So I hear the cops. My dad go to the front and I can hear, he left the front door open. So I can hear him talking to the cop outside. And he's telling the police, "Oh, she lied and she's grown and she's doing all of this. And she, she's been, she at this point in her life, she won't listen to me. And I'm having a hard time with her. And she's trying to leave. Can you help me? Like, don't let her leave. And I hear this. And in my head, I'm like, damn, I shouldn't leave. But So he comes back in the house, and the cop talked to me. And I tell him what happened, and the cop's telling me, you're a minor, listen to your dad, this, and that. I tell the cop, okay. Miss Mary come in the room. She talked to me. Like I said, she always had my back, so she talking to me. She telling me she understand how I feel, and she want me and my dad to get along, and I'm listening to her. Now, I think I said we all stayed together. It's kind of like we all stayed together. She stayed literally across the track. Like she stayed like a walk away. Like she stayed in apartments not too far. So, but she was at our house all the time because she, her and my dad was together. So she was there with us all the time. But she had her own apartment. So the cop tell me this, and I say, okay. So Miss Mary say, you could come stay with me at my house for a couple nights because you and your dad is not getting along. My school was just everything in our neighborhood was very close. So my school was like I could walk to school from her apartment. So the agreement was for me to go to her house for a couple days, so me and my pop could cool off. And I said, okay. I loved Miss Mary. I loved her, so I had no issue going to her house. I was just so bad. I was so bad, y'all. But anyway, let's continue. So the police leave, and I go to Miss Mary's house. Somebody from the apartment building picked us up and took us to her house, to her apartment. And so I'm texting. I had a cell phone, so this whole time I'm texting my little boyfriend. I'm telling him, what's going on, and what's going on pretty much. So we get to Miss Mary's house. And so she decided to sit in the car with the neighbor that picked us up. You know how older people is. She wanted to gossip about the situation. So she gave me her house key to go in the house, take my bags in the house while she sat in the car and talked to the neighbor. And so I go take the key. And then my little immature, just bad brain, something in my head was just, he was like, my boyfriend was texting me. He was like, do you want me to pick you up? And I said, yeah.
You're actually dumb. Oh my God, you're actually dumb. Holy fuck. You're actually stupid.
Why did I say yeah? Anyways, I said yes. He wasn't too far away. He had a car. Well, actually, he didn't have a car. He didn't have a car. He had a lot of friends who had cars. So I said yes. He was around the corner. The whole time he was texting, he wasn't too far away. So wrong of me. So he texted me. He said he outside. I gave him the address. He said he outside. I told him to pull to the other side of the building because Miss Mary was on the other side talking in the car. So I told him to park around the car. And I was so wrong. So I just leave. I lock her door and I leave her key like in between the door and the screen, So it's like when she opened the screen door, her key would just be there on the door frame. And don't be like me. Be better than me. So I do that and I leave. I just take my bag and I leave. So I go to the front of the building and he picks me up, and he don't even need a name. We're going to call him boyfriend. So boyfriend picks me up and we're talking about the situation and he's agreeing with me. We're teenagers. He's a young boy. We wants to be free. So of course he's going to agree with everything I'm telling him. Even though I'm wrong, he's agreeing with me. Yeah, your dad is this. You don't need to stay with him, and he's too strict and he's too that. What are you gonna do for me? What you gonna do for me? So we go to his house, and his dad was like a DJ or something like that, and he had like a bunch of his friends, and everyone was in front of his house, and they were younger dudes too, but they were like drinking, and his dad was a DJ, so it was like speakers in front of the house, and it was like a little get together. There was partying, a vibe. So it kind of took my mind off the whole situation and the fact that I just ran away, girl. And so we in the front of the house, and I'm talking. I'm sitting in the chair, and his homeboys. Nobody was rude. They didn't try to touch me, anything like that. A couple of them flirted with me, but nobody really like said anything inappropriately or tried to touch me, nothing like that. Thank God. So I'm sitting out there with them, and somebody offered me some liquor. And I don't remember what kind of liquor it was. I'm 15, 16, never had liquor before. I'm trying to I'm faking it faking it to make it. And I'm like, yeah, I want a cup. So they give me a cup and I drink the liquor. Oh my goodness. Probably was drunk, didn't even realize it. So I'm just chilling. We dancing in front of the house. His daddy DJing and he got the mic going on and we vibing. And the whole time is like hours later, and it's crazy. My dad was calling my cell phone. I just was ignoring it. After a while, it died, and I just never charged it back. So I go. It's late now, so my boyfriend, his friends, they leave. His daddy pack up the speakers. And he's in his room sleep, and me and boyfriend we just in the living room. He had a room. No, he didn't. Nope, he didn't, cause he was sleeping in the living room with me that night. So me and him slept on the couch that night. That must be his bed. So me and him slept on the couch that night, and I remember him being up like most of the night. He was up most of the night, and I was on the couch asleep. At some point, I woke up in the middle of the night because I heard him and his daddy talking. I don't know what they were talking about, but we're going to find out what they was talking about. Whatever. They was talking. I was asleep. I wake up the next day. It's early in the morning. So his dad come outside in the living room and he's telling me, he was like, you cool with me? Because I've seen him a couple times. He said, you cool with me and stuff like this, but you can't stay here. He said, because your dad was calling my phone all night, threatening to have the police come over here because, he feels like you're over here. And how my dad got the phone number was because the old school house phones, you could go through the history. All the numbers that you outbound or who called the phone. My daddy went through that history, child, and he found the last number that I was talking to for a long time, and he kept, he called the house, and dad answered the phone and blah blah blah. So horrible. Don't be like me. Be better than me. Dad was like, you have to go. And he was fairly, that was fair. That was fair. So boyfriend was like, okay, my dad said you have to go, so you have to go. So I just packed my little bag and we walked to the bus stop. His dad won't even give us a ride. Pop was like, hell no, this little girl gotta go. His daddy wasn't having it, as he should. That's as he should. So me and boyfriend, we walking down the street to the bus stop. We didn't have cars, so we was on the bus. So on the bus, we're talking. I'm complaining about my dad, how I don't want to be there, and how life is so unfair, and how I just feel so miserable. Oh, child, I wish I could be 15, 16 again. Didn't have to pay any bills, honey. My daddy was giving me a little couple dollars every month for school. I didn't have to pay for anything. I wish I could be 15 again. You see, oh wow, it's just crazy. You take life for granted, take time for granted. You know what I mean? But I'm just telling my story. So me and boyfriend, we're on the bus. I'm just talking about Pop, and he's agreeing. Just so immature. Just don't have no sense of direction to be, to just be more mature than me and tell me, oh, I need to go home. And he didn't say none of that. So we eventually go. We riding on the bus to my cousin house, my older cousin house. She had an apartment, and that was one of my favorite cousins, and I always go over there and hang out. So me and him, we get off the bus over there. I didn't have to announce I was coming. I walked right through the door, say hi to my cousins, and they said hi to me. And me and boyfriend, we downstairs. And downstairs, you know how you have dumpsters, and the dumpsters be inside of the little, I don't know what you call it. You know how the dumpster area, and then you have the gate where you can close it and stuff like that. So me and boyfriend was down there talking. He's sitting up on the thing by the dumpster. I'm standing in front of him. Like 10 minutes we're talking. Tell me why. I see my daddy truck. I see my daddy truck coming down the street. I knew my dad truck. I just knew my daddy truck from a mile away. My dad had this distinctive truck. He had it for years. I just knew my dad truck. So boyfriend sitting up on the thing. His back is turned toward the street, so he couldn't see. But I see my daddy truck coming down the street. And I tell boyfriend, I say, boyfriend, my daddy here. My daddy pulled up. So my cousin must be told my dad that I was here, because my dad had to be looking for me, had to be calling family, as a dad would and should. So when I came over there and announced myself to everyone, my older cousin, she must be calling my daddy, and my daddy brung his ass down there and tried to come get me. So I see my daddy, he's coming inside the gate into the apartment. I told boyfriend to continue sitting where he's sitting to just look normal. I don't know what was I thinking. And I get behind the dumpster. It was clean. I don't know, it was clean. So I get behind the dumpster and I duck. And I'm sitting down there for like 30 minutes because my daddy had walked upstairs and he was talking to my cousin. And he must be told her she was just here and he must be told I left because I didn't never go back upstairs. So I'm ducked behind this dumpster, y'all. And I'm looking up the boyfriend. I'm like, he's still here? And he like, yeah. I'm like, he ain't get in the truck yet? He like, nah. So it's like 30, maybe 40 minutes past. So he finally was like, he getting in the truck. And I'm like, cool. Because my legs, they dead. They die. They feel like static. So he get in the truck. He pack up. He leave. And so I get up and I'm walking to go back upstairs to my cousin. Don't know why. Dumb. And I see my daddy bust a U-turn. And so downstairs by this stairway downstairs, it was these Spanish neighbors. They was real cool with me. They was older. They had children. And they had the mind of a doorknob. They were good people, but what they did was so immature. So these Spanish people stay downstairs. I see my dad make a U-turn, me and boyfriend walking. So I see my dad make a U-turn and the Spanish neighbors, they had their door open. I don't know what it is, but Spanish people, they love their door open. So their door was open. And I sprint into the Spanish neighbor's apartment because they was cool with me. And I'm like, yo, I need help. Like, I'm running away from my dad and he's here looking for me and we don't have a car. So they immature ass, they was down with it. So boyfriend outside, because my dad didn't really know boyfriend. So he's standing outside seeing where my dad was. And when he seen my dad go around the building, the Spanish couple, they get their car keys and they pull up to the front and they get us in the car. My dad busts another U-turn. So now I'm laid back in the seat in the car just praying my daddy don't see us. Just, they were so bad for that. We sitting in the car for a while in the back, talking about the situation with them. Just horrible. My dad finally leaves out of the apartment building and he leaves. He go home. So we go back into the Spanish couple apartment. We're talking about it. Again, no type of guidance. Nobody around me told me, go home, girl. Like, your daddy is right. You're 15, 16. You need your dad. Like, go home, girl. Nobody around me told me that. Everybody just had pea brains and just was immature. So this older couple, they just didn't tell me to go home. Anyway, we're sitting in the car. It's hours past now. We left this house early in the morning. It's now the sun is down. And I go back upstairs to my cousin's house because the plan was for me to go to my cousin's house because I didn't have nowhere to go. I go back upstairs to talk to my big cousin because I needed to spend the night. So we're talking, and she's pretty much telling me, finally, somebody with the brain. She's talking to me, and she's, we having this long talk because I stayed with her when I was a little girl because I went from home to home. And we were talking and she pretty much was telling me like, yeah, you're going to have to go home. Like, you can't stay here because my cousin had a lot of kids. It was a 2-bedroom. It wasn't going to work. It was nowhere for me to sleep. So she pretty much told me, you need to go home and be with your dad. And as I should have been, right? So I spent the night. She was like, you can spend the night here one night, but in the morning, you need to call your dad and have him come over and we're going to work this out. So I spent the night that night. And the next morning, my dad was there. I see him walking up the stairs. And then I also see my mama. I don't know how she got there, but my mama was there. Now, if you're wondering where my mama was going through some things in her life. And she wasn't around. She wasn't available all the time. But life happened to my mama. She was going through some things. So, I was surprised to see my mama there. And I knew it was serious. I knew that I was getting out of hand at that point. For my mama to, for my mama to be there, and she made a way to be there that morning. So I knew that my behavior was getting out of control for my mama to be there. And so, I just buckled down for whatever they had to say. And, you know, So my cousin asked everyone to leave out of the apartment, and it's just me, my dad, my mama. We're sitting in the living room. My dad is blabbering. He's telling all my business to my mama, telling her how bad of a teenager I'm acting at the time. I'm rebellious. I'm a liar. I don't listen. I talk back, and just everything. He's telling my mama everything, and he's saying he don't know how to deal with me and things like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm rebuttaling, trying to defend myself, telling her I do this because of this. I felt smothered. I felt like, I feel this way. I feel that way. I can't do anything. Like, give me, I'm not a bad girl. Just give me some room to live my life. That was my whole point at that time. And my mama sitting and she's listening, but of course, she understood my dad, but she also understood me. So we sat and we talked for maybe 3 hours, all three of us, 3 hours. And so we came to some conclusion. I thought I was gonna be good, whatever. My mama actually handwritten a note for me, like it was like an agreement. She wrote a letter saying that I'm gonna change my behavior. I'm gonna listen to my dad. I'm gonna be more respectful. And school was never an issue for me. I've always been a smart girl. I skipped school like maybe 3 times out of my whole high school career. I didn't have issues in school. My grades was not bad at all. It was just my behavior. I just home with my dad, I just didn't want to be there for some reason. I don't know. I didn't know myself. I just didn't want him telling me what to do. I felt like I was already at an age to where like I'm already about to be 16. Like, who are you? Like, that's how I felt, I didn't want him telling me nothing. I just wanted to do my own thing. I just thought I was grown. And it was the wrong mindset because I wish I was 15 again. I wish I didn't have to pay these bills. I wish I didn't have to pay no rent. I wish I didn't have these credit card bills. Who? So, don't grow up too fast. And so my mama wrote this letter and she wrote her signature. I wrote my signature. And I agreed to be a good girl from then on. And, my dad took me home and it was good for a while, a couple months, But I didn't run away ever again. I apologized to Miss Mary. She was kind of upset with me about leaving the key. But, she was, she didn't never go too hard on me. She was upset that I left, but I love Miss Mary. She didn't really make me feel bad. She was the only one kind of understood me. Me and my dad, it was okay for a while, but we had little arguments here and there, but it was okay. I never ran away again. Things like that. I didn't become pregnant. None of that. I didn't catch any STDs or anything like that. I was okay. And me and my mom, the relationship at that time, it was good. I love my mom to death. So I don't know if I stayed up to those standards to the letter she wrote me, but I did my best. I think I grew up to be a nice, wonderful, intelligent young lady. I think I'm a scholar. So I think I came up pretty well, which I think. Anywho. But I just wanted to get that out. And I doubt that my dad, my pop will ever see this video. But my dad is like 71, 72 now. And y'all, if y'all, I'm sure y'all have had some similar experiences, whether it was with your dad, your mom, whoever in your life, to where it's like they're getting older, you're getting older. Tomorrow is not promised. You know how many people went to sleep last night that did not wake up this morning? And it's just, I really just love my dad, and I was just so disrespectful back then. But again, if any young ladies old at any point in your life, don't be like me, be better than me. That was crazy. And I thank God that I just turned out okay. And I love my dad. I tell him every chance I get. I love my mom. I tell her every chance I get. And that was just a crazy story time. I have plenty more stories to come. But if you enjoyed my story, go ahead and subscribe if you're not already a part of, my team. Like my video and leave a comment down below. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.